Hey guys, it's Legion here. Welcome back. I've had a bunch of requests to make this video. This is going to be about overclocking the 12100F and 12400F, but today we're using the 12100 obviously. Anyway, it's about overclocking the 12100 chip to get amazing performance per dollar. I'm using this chip in Tarkov right now. I'm on streets, 1080p with an RTX 3060. I'm averaging 100 FPS on streets, which is better than 5700X 3D right now. It's better than a 7900X that I have. That's at 5.5 gigahertz all core delidded with 6400 megahertz RAM. Today we're going to around 5.1 gigahertz. This is just for demonstration purposes to show you guys how to do it, to get comfortable using this kind of a platform. That way you don't feel like you're going to ruin your system or something like that. All these, what I'm going to show you today is going to be achievable by pretty much any 12100F. The cooler I'm running is a $20 ID cooling air cooler from Amazon. It's the black version, literally 4 heat pipes. Cheap, you know. This platform right here I got the CPU, the motherboard, and RAM was less than $300. The motherboard right now on Amazon, Newegg, excuse me, is $120. You can get an i3 12100F off eBay right now for $70 to $80, and the RAM I'm using is a 6400 CL32 kit I got off Newegg for $100. 280 bucks, and you got a platform that can beat a 5700X 3D and a 7900X in Tarkov. Now, Warzone games like that, it will still perform well, but it will not perform as well as a 7900X, obviously. We're working with 12 megabytes of cache and a 4-core CPU, you know. But with this overclock, I tested it on the streets, completely stock with a 5600 XMP kit. On the streets, this CPU does around 60 FPS average. After the overclock, with the RAM overclock as well, it averages around 100, so that's nearly a 50% improvement just from overclocking. In Cyberpunk, I seen, what was it, a 23% increase in performance, so it's going to be really hard to beat this setup. But I don't have much time. I apologize for the quality. The sound's going to be bad. The video quality is going to be bad. I'm literally in my living room using an iPhone that's crapped out. I don't have an external mic or anything, so I apologize for the quality, but here we go. All right, what you're going to want to do is go into your CPU configuration. Actually, to start off with, no, you're going to want this motherboard. It is an ASRock B760M PG Riptide. Right here's the BIOS revision. If you try to do any of this and it does not work, you either have the wrong motherboard or your BIOS revision is the wrong one. So you need to be very specific on your motherboard purchase and very specific on your BIOS revisions. I'm not sure if they all work, but I know this one works here. Okay, you're going to want to go into base frequency boost here. You want to max this all the way out. What we're going to do is remove all artificial limits that this motherboard is going to want to have on this CPU. You want to disable all your Intel speed boost except these two here. You want to disable this, disable here. We just go ahead and max out your power limit. It won't pull that much power. That's just what it will allow if it wants to, but this CPU will never pull that much. At max, it'll pull like maybe 80 watts. So you don't have anything to worry about. But anyway, we're going to make sure the motherboard gets out of its own way. That way we can get all this taken care of and blow some expensive CPUs out of the water. But we're going to want to go here, click all core, because we want this to be an all core overclock. That's what we're trying to achieve right here. Okay, this is the highest core ratio we can go to. On your cache ratio, you want to go to the highest you can go here as well, which should be 39. Yep. Your minimum cache and regular cache need to be the same, so it doesn't try to downclock the cache, which causes stutters, instability issues, etc. You just want to make this the same no matter what. All right, right now we're at 4.1 all core, and it doesn't really have a ring speed, but we're going to go down to BCLK frequency because that's what we're doing today. We're going to hit 125 and hit enter, and you see we got 5.1 all core and 4.8 gigahertz on the ring. Some CPUs might not be able to do this. For today, I'm going to go ahead and make it achievable for everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and make this 5.4 gigahertz on the ring. That way, you know, if you don't feel comfortable going that high, you don't have to. But the ring is going to compound with the memory speed you have, and it will just make your latency lower, makes your RAM overclock more efficient, everything. But right now we got 5.1 on the core, and we got 4.5 on the ring. Now, what we're doing here is making sure the CPU stays at 5.1 gigahertz. Okay, that's the goal, and that's how we're going to get a lot of our performance. All right, now we want to back out of here and go to DRAM. Now I have a 64 XMP kit, and I want to hit XMP. It's probably going to jump up to 8,000 or somewhere around there. Oh, no, it didn't. Let's see how it changed my BCLK frequency back. You want to go down here and make sure it stays on 125. It does that sometimes whenever you change settings. You just want to make sure it stays on 125. But see how it went to 8,000 here? To correct that, you want to go down to frequency and go to the closest speed that you know your memory XMP was. So we have a 6400 kit, so I'm going to go ahead and lock in 6500. Now, to do it, it's best to go like one lower. That way you know it's stable, because XMP is usually stable anyway. But you want to go maybe one lower or somewhere around there just to make sure it works. Right now we've got 5.1, 4.5 on the ring, and 6300 megahertz XMP. You don't want to pay attention to these settings down here for what your speed is. You want to make sure your target speeds are up here. This is going to be how you know what's going on. This is going to be what your operating system is going to load into. All right, so we're pretty much done with that. That's all there is to it. You can go and adjust your fan settings and all that, but this CPU pulls so little power that you really don't have to worry about that too much. The only other thing we need to change is the voltage. Now I'm going to go to fixed mode. That way I know that it works. Right now, just to make sure it works, we're going to go to 1.3 volts. You can play with this. At 5.1 gigahertz, you could probably go 1.25, but the goal is to make sure you can boot and then mess around with your voltage. You can drop it down if it's stable. That way you can start lowering your voltage if you don't feel comfortable with it this high. But honestly, it's not going to go past 60, 65 Celsius at this voltage. Anyway, that's what you need to change. Don't need to worry about any of this because XMP is going to handle that. And hit F10 and enter. Like I said, I apologize about, you know, the quality of the video, but I've had a lot of guys say that my Tarkov videos are fake, about the 4-core stuff. I've had a lot of guys ask me how to do it, and there's not a lot of information out there, especially detailed information where somebody walks you through it. So I hope this helps somebody out here. We're just waiting on the operating system to load up so I can go into hardware info and show you guys what we got. That is going to be an application you're going to want to have, if you don't already, is hardware info, because that's going to show you your core clocks. It's going to show you your RAM speed. It's going to show you your cache clocks, because Task Manager won't read it properly. It won't read it properly at all. Because of the BCLK, it actually changes some things in the operating system, and it doesn't read right on certain applications. But see, look, the core temperatures are perfectly fine at 1.3 volts. Now you look at our core clocks here, and we are at 5.1 gigahertz like it said in the BIOS. See, that is amazing. And our ring is right around 4.5 gigahertz. Let's see what our RAM speed is. Memory timings right here. Okay, we're right at what I set it at. Now here, it usually displays at half speed, but I've changed it myself. You can go to customize values, go down here and multiply by 2 and hit set, then okay, and it'll change to the actual memory speed you're running. But yeah, that's literally all there is to it. My cache will go up to 4.9 or 5 gigahertz, but just for demonstration purposes, I showed you guys the 4.5 gigahertz, just so I know that if you guys punch in this stuff, it'll work. I don't want you having to FAFO and saying this doesn't work, but I mean, look how little wattage this is pulling. And I'll make a second part to this video and show you guys the performance numbers I'm getting out of this. But yeah, that's it for this section.